Right now, a stark warning from Israel to more than 1 million Palestinians living in Gaza. Evacuate now.
And distance yourself from Hamas terrorists who are using you as human shields.
It's an exodus the UN calls impossible, coming ahead of the likely ground invasion of Gaza. We're live in Tel Aviv as missile strikes intensify, where the vast population inside the Gaza Strip will go, and the one potential exit strategy. Huge demonstrations as pro-Palestinian supporters take to the streets here in America and around the world, why some countries are banning the protests. A member of the Israeli military updates us on evacuation warnings to tell us just how intense the fighting will be. Plus, a former Navy SEAL who trained with Israeli soldiers joins us live. What a ground fight would look like in and out of Hamas's intricate tunnel system, and how much time special forces have to save any hostages. We're also following the health of Olympic legend Mary Lou Retton, fighting for her life in the ICU. Her daughter's plea for help met with tens of thousands of dollars in gifts from fans. What the money will be used for. Plus, it looks like Taylor Swift is good energy for the Kansas City Chiefs. Back in the box cheering on number 87, Travis Kelce. It's Morning in America. And welcome to Morning in America from our NewsNation headquarters in America's heartland. We are broadcasting across the country, reporting from around the world, an inflection point for the nation of Israel, Palestinians, and the Middle East as the war there continues.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Nick Smith. We're now in day 7th of this war.
Yes, and Nick is in for Markie. She's off today, but we're going to take a live look at Gaza City, where we know that 1 million Palestinians have been told to just get out of your homes, move to the south of the Gaza Strip. The Israeli military is sending those warnings loud and clear, dropping leaflets from overhead into the northern part of the Gaza Strip, because that's where they will presumably be intensifying strikes.
And as this war continues to dominate headlines across the nation, this evacuation order could signal a possible ground offensive. It would involve street-by-street battles with Hamas militants who've had years to prepare tunnels and traps. This could also draw in the Iranian-backed Lebanese militant group Hezbollah from the north.
And we know Hezbollah has already inserted itself into this conflict, firing on Israel at least on 3 occasions. Meanwhile, protests around the world are erupting with support for Palestinians. You are looking live right now at the capital of Yemen in the city of Sana'a. These are all protesters waving the Palestinian flag. There was this announcement, we'll call it, from one of the former leaders of Hamas, a terrorist group responsible for the conflict and the bloody carnage seen in Israel in the homes of innocent civilians. That former Hamas leader calling for a day of jihad, a day of action, potentially violence. These live looks right now providing us just how much support the Palestinians have. They are angry over Israel's decision to retaliate, to send missile strikes into Gaza, to displace that hundreds of thousands of people who really don't have anywhere to go besides to another part of the Gaza Strip.
But we do know that they have been ordered to leave the city of Gaza and head south. Just about an hour ago, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin delivered remarks in Tel Aviv alongside Israel's defense minister. He reaffirmed America's support for Israel, saying it was ironclad. Austin is also expected to meet with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We want to bring in Robert Sherman now. He's live on the ground in Tel Aviv. Robert, you talked about the flyers that have been disseminated from the sky, but we've also heard from Israeli officials, in fact, the defense secretary saying, hey, you got to get out of Gaza and head south.
Yeah, and that's really been the main message from the IDF through those flyers, as you mentioned, which have been falling from the sky all over the Gaza Strip. 24 hours. That's the number that the IDF is saying that people have to get out of Gaza City and move south before the military operations ramp up. The United Nations has weighed in on this and says 24 hours is not enough time to move that many people. The World Health Organization says there are other concerns to take into account, like people who are in hospitals on life support, who cannot be moved out of those locations right now and will surely die if they have to be moved in a situation such as that. But the IDF says this is happening in the imminent future, and they want people out of there to avoid as many civilian casualties and collateral damage as possible. This is what the IDF had to say this morning. Take a listen.
The IDF remains fully committed to the law of international conflict. We will carry ourselves accordingly, in sharp contrast to the enemies around us and to Hamas, which is in total disregard of anything related to values, norms, and definitely not the laws of armed conflict.
And Hamas is telling people, on the other hand, that they should stay put in Gaza and they should not listen to what the IDF says. And if the attacks do come, they should remain in their homes and they should hold fast. The Israeli Air Force has been relentlessly pounding the Gaza Strip overnight, hitting 750 targets there. Our phones, meanwhile, have been going off over the last few hours as it appears missiles have been fired from Gaza into southern Israel as well. So the back and forth here continues. Something else to note that just came out a few minutes ago. U.S. Senator Chuck Schumer, the majority leader, will be leading a bipartisan group here to Israel to effectively serve as an extension of President Biden's hand in order to affirm support for the people of Israel here. And that's not all that the U.S. is doing here in Israel this hour. The State Department says that they're offering charter flights to those Americans who are stuck here, those who have not been able to get on a commercial flight and get out of Israel. They want their American citizens out of here before the situation in the Middle East deteriorates. Adrienne?
All right, Robert, our thanks to you. We want to send it over to Joe Khalil. He is live in Washington at the White House with more on the Biden administration's response to the war, especially in light of Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin's visit to Tel Aviv. Joe.
Yeah, Secretary Austin's visit there, another show of support for Israel. He stood, as you see here, right alongside his Israeli counterpart, Yoel Gallant, and he made clear again that Israel is going to get everything that it needs from the United States militarily. And he didn't mince words. He was very direct, talking about Hamas itself, saying this is no time to be neutral. This is no time to make excuses for the inexcusable, which is terrorism. He called them evil and compared them to ISIS. He also said that Hamas does not speak for the Palestinian people. Now, when it comes to actual hardware, he says the U.S. has already beefed up its aircraft squadrons in the area. We know that the USS Gerald Ford is in the Mediterranean, in position to not just help Israel, but to deter Israel's enemies as well. And the secretary said it's possible that even further assets be sent to the region as well, and that whatever Israel needs, it's going to be replenished at the speed of war. Now, something that stood out, he did offer a bit of caution and a measured response when it came to talking about Israel's response in Gaza itself, saying that look, democracies are not the same as terrorist groups, that Israel should be more calculated in how it goes after people, trying to avoid civilian casualties and specifically targeting Hamas. And he says here, and I'm going to quote him, democracies are stronger when they uphold the laws of war.
We will continue to coordinate closely with Israel to help secure the release of the innocent men, women, and children in the clutches of Hamas, including American citizens. Terrorists like Hamas deliberately target civilians, but democracies don't. This is a time for resolve and not revenge, for purpose and not panic, and for security and not surrender.
And Austin also referenced Ukraine, saying the U.S. is the most powerful force on the face of the earth. They are certainly capable, he says, of operating in two theaters at the same time, being Ukraine and Israel. He says the U.S. is going to continue to support both war efforts. Adrienne, Nick.
All right. Thank you very much, Joe. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant walking up to the podium here with Secretary of Defense General Lloyd Austin at the joint press conference NewsNation brought you earlier this morning. Gallant saying that the world will not forget what Hamas has done in their attacks on those innocent families. At least 27 Americans have been killed in Hamas's attacks on Israel, dual citizens between the U.S. and Israel, and 14 of those dual citizens remain missing. Fighting is intensifying. The Israeli Air Force saying it has dropped more than 6,000 bombs on Gaza since the war began. And joining us right now, Israeli Defense Forces spokesperson Lieutenant Masha Mikkelsen. Thank you, Lieutenant, for joining us right now. That is a lot of rocket fire. Israeli forces, they've been gathering near the Gaza border. Do we know yet how imminent a ground invasion is?
The possibility of a ground operation is on the table. It has been presented to our government and to the security cabinet. I want to thank you for having me, and I want to tell you that we have intelligence right now telling us that Hamas are setting up road blockages near the city of Gaza to prevent their own people from evacuating, from getting away from the Hamas infrastructure over there, to keep cynically using them as human shields and get in the way of a smooth evacuation.
So what will Israel do in light of the fact that Hamas is indeed keeping people from evacuating, from fleeing to safety to the south? Will that change the course of action for the Israeli military?
Israel understands, and the IDF understands, that such an evacuation takes time. We are considering it, and options that are being considered are taking into account the amount of time that it takes for people to move themselves and their belongings out of harm's way.
There is such a spirit of courage among the IDF. Many of you are very young, in your 20s, in your 30s, even reservists are coming back. I mean, this is hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Something we have not seen in our generation, something that perhaps we might have read about in an Old Testament story, a story from the Torah. What is the sentiment among the troops right now? How is morale?
I think that if you look at the last few days, you will see that we've had the fastest and the most efficient recruit of reservists that Israel has had in its history. 300,000 men and women that have been recruited in 48 hours, not only to the southern front, to the northern front as well, and to support the routine missions all over Israel. And the people of Israel are the army, and the army is the people. It has always been that way since 1948, when Ben-Gurion founded the IDF. The people of Israel put aside their differences and put aside their disagreements, and they stand up for their country. Right now, the IDF is focusing on never letting Hamas gain the ability to hurt Israel like they did on Saturday.
When we see some of the pro-Palestinian demonstrations from around the world, right now we actually have a picture-in-picture here. There are Muslim leaders, including former Hamas leadership, that is calling on a day of jihad today following morning prayers. We're seeing those large demonstrations and protests, the waving of the Palestinian flag in support for civilians there. Does the Israeli military take those kinds of protests into account, that this could potentially mean a multi-front war, or is it more of a distraction that you all need to tune out?
We hear those voices, we hear those calls, and the IDF is vigilant and prepared on all fronts to face any threat that comes our way.
Any final words, anything you would like the American people to hear as a message from the Israeli military and the Israeli people?
Tomorrow will be a week from this horrendous attack. We've had the largest number of Jews killed in a single day than any single day since the end of the Holocaust. This is mind-boggling. This is heartbreaking. I've myself been in the past 3 days in communities around the Gaza Strip, in Kfar Aza and in Be'eri. I've been to the site of the rave in Nova near Re'im, where 260 people were massacred and butchered, burned alive in their cars. The world mustn't forget. It can't forget what happened in Israel. It cannot forget what happened to the Israeli people and the price we have to pay at the beginning of this war.
I know there are a lot of people who are emotional about this story. I know there are a lot of people praying for Israel and for the Israeli military, and likely the Psalm, the 91st Psalm, over all of you, protection as you conduct your military operations.
We feel that, and we appreciate that. We appreciate the American support, and we appreciate the support of the Secretary of Defense and the military equipment sent our way. The IDF is strong, and Israel will prevail.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Mikkelsen, for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
We have much more ahead on Morning in America. When we come back, a complex maze of tunnels in Gaza built by Hamas pose serious challenges to Israeli troops. We'll take a look to see if any of those tunnels were destroyed in the latest retaliatory missile strikes.
For continuing coverage of Israel at war, stay tuned to NewsNation.
Consumer Cellular, this is Sam. How may I help you? This is Sam. How may I help you? Oh, this is a butt dial. Well, somebody's butt. Just thought I'd let you know that with Consumer Cellular, you can get the same exact coverage as the leading carriers, but for up to half the price.
I can get behind that.
I know, right? I just talked to a butt. Congrats.
Moving forward with node-positive breast cancer is overwhelming, but I never just found my way. I made it and did all I could to prevent recurrence.
Verzenio reduces the risk of recurrence of HR-positive, HER2-negative, node-positive early breast cancer with a high chance of returning, as determined by your doctor when added to hormone therapy. Hormone therapy works outside the cell, while Verzenio works inside to help stop the growth of cancer cells. Diarrhea is common, may be severe, or cause dehydration or infection. At the first sign, call your doctor, start an antidiarrheal, and drink fluids. Before taking Verzenio, tell your doctor about any fever, chills, or other signs of infection. Verzenio may cause low white blood cell counts, which may cause serious infection that can lead to death. Life-threatening lung inflammation can occur. Tell your doctor about any new or worsening trouble breathing, cough, or chest pain. Serious liver problems can happen. Symptoms include fatigue, appetite loss, stomach pain, and bleeding or bruising. Blood clots that can lead to death have occurred. Tell your doctor if you have pain or swelling in your arms or legs, shortness of breath, chest pain, and rapid breathing or heart rate, or if you are nursing, pregnant, or plan to be.
I'm making my own way forward.
Ask your doctor about everyday Verzenio.
Had enough? No. Arthritis. Here. Aspirin arthritis. Huh. Full prescription strength. Reduces inflammation. Thank the gods. Don't thank them too soon.
Kick pain in the Aspirin.
My mental health was much better, but I struggled with uncontrollable movements called TD, tardive dyskinesia. TD can be caused by some mental health meds.
And it's unlikely to improve without treatment. I felt like my movements were in the spotlight.
#1 prescribed Ingrezza is the only TD treatment for adults that's always one pill once daily. Ingrezza 80 milligram is proven to reduce TD movements in 7 out of 10 people. People taking Ingrezza can stay on most mental health meds. Ingrezza can cause depression, suicidal thoughts, or actions in patients with Huntington's disease. Pay close attention to and call your doctor if you become depressed, have sudden changes in mood, behaviors, feelings, or have thoughts of suicide. Don't take Ingrezza if you're allergic to its ingredients. Ingrezza may cause serious side effects, including angioedema, potential heart rhythm problems, and abnormal movements. Report fevers, stiff muscles, or problems thinking, as these may be life-threatening. Sleepiness is the most common side effect.
It's nice. People focus more on me.
Ask your doctor about #1 prescribed once daily Ingrezza.
My family started making denim back in 1982. Today, we make modern bow jeans in that very same facility I visited growing up. Our signature jeans have dynamic stretch to provide flexibility, and we handcraft every pair with the care and quality you can only get from a family business.
Israel at war. NewsNation's Chris Cuomo and Robert Sherman are on the ground, bringing you the very latest from the front lines.
So off in the distance, you can hear the sound of sirens blaring.
And they have a very sophisticated alert system that has become habituated as part of the culture here.
The Iron Dome has been activated and is in the process of intercepting missiles. This is a constant reality for people on the ground in this country.
For continuing coverage of Israel at war, stay tuned to NewsNation.
Welcome back to Morning in America. You're looking live right now at a couple of scenes. One of the protests, the pro-Palestinian protests in Yemen. Now, part of Israel's presumed ground invasion, it includes hitting one of the terrorist groups, Hamas's most used resources, underground tunnels. The tunnels lead directly from Gaza into Israel. Those underground corridors are intricate. The entrance is actually between schools, mosques, homes. The Israeli military believes that Hamas used these tunnels as part of Saturday's attack.
And in some of that video, you can see that they were actually using those bulldozers to try to dig and destroy some of those tunnels. Now, NewsNation correspondent Laura Engel takes a closer look at what's called the Hamas metro system.
Terrorism experts say tunnels hidden under the Gaza Strip may have helped Hamas militants carry out the October 7th attacks. The Israeli military estimating there were roughly 300 miles of tunnels running under Gaza in 2014. This map shows what Israeli troops refer to as Hamas's metro system under Gaza. Some tunnels are wired with electricity and are as deep as 130 feet underground. The Israeli military regularly searches for these tunnels and destroys them, but they are often hidden in remote areas.
They are essentially terror highways. This is how you move the fighters. This is how you move the material. This is how you get additional resources, money, drugs, whatever it may be. So they really are the lifeblood of Hamas.
And officials say these tunnels often end under hospitals and in schools and other places where Israelis wouldn't bomb or attack.
That was Laura Engel reporting. For more, let's bring in former Navy SEAL Cameron Hamilton, a Republican candidate for Congress in Virginia. Cameron, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us this morning, because I know that you understand exactly what's happening here. During your time as a Navy SEAL, which for those who may not know is indeed among the most elite of our special forces, you trained with the IDF. Are Israel's troops ready for this kind of ground offensive?
Oh, you're absolutely right that some of the opportunities we had training with the Israelis and training them and preparing them for conflict was incredibly rewarding. They're remarkably brave soldiers. I do believe that they are ready, that they're prepared. The uniqueness of the conflict there in Israel and Gaza has a variety of opportunities and challenges, and I think Israel is very innovative and also very adaptive in its techniques with how they mitigate these threats.
Now,
It is complex.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. I was just going to say it is complex, but they do have a variety of different training methods and preparation for events such as these.
Well, Mr. Hamilton, where I was going with that is because you have done this type of ground warfare. We spoke earlier about the close quarters, and we know that Hamas is holding hostages. How do you approach that situation when you're operating in such tight, close quarters, and you know that there are innocent lives also in harm's way?
That's a really excellent question. The answer is, first off, Israel is facing what is nearly an impossible mission. No matter what they do, it's likely that Hamas will create harm and will harm casualties and hostages in any manner that they can. Their rhetoric and their past behavior has demonstrated that. I will also say that fighting in proximities such as this, underground and in close quarters in heavily urban populated areas, becomes even more complex because some of your sensory motor deprivation, you have difficulty hearing and adjusting to sound and direction. You also have unique characteristics that you find within underground bunkers, such as radio frequencies not being nearly as effective. So the methods of communication and coordination between troops and personnel becomes more challenging. So it puts a unique degree of challenges and obstacles in the way. But I will say the IDF has been incredibly innovative, the way that they use canines, the way that they use certain technology specifically designed for underground fighting.
Not only using technology, but also using intelligence, I'm assuming, too, because in this kind of door-to-door fighting, my guess is information that you'll receive from the civilians on the ground who also want to protect their own families and their own lives may help and aid soldiers who are attempting the rescue and attempting to capture members of Hamas, yes?
I think that's an excellent point that you make. And yes, you're absolutely correct. You know, it is a partnership that we look for with traditional military occupation or traditional military conflict. The goal is to never alienate the nation or the people, the civilians that are bystanders to the armed conflict. Unfortunately, with Gaza, there's quite a few civilians that do lay kind of consequence because of the actions of Hamas. And so Israel takes great efforts to partner with them to gain information so as to minimize damage and to show their humanitarian efforts that they'd like to initiate. So intelligence is also something that Israel has been very heavily invested in. It's been extremely effective in the past, and it continues to be effective to today. So I would imagine that Israel has operatives and personnel, both Palestinians and Israelis, who are giving them information and preparing them so as to attack this threat in the most strategically advantageous way, also while reducing the consequence against humans.
Cameron, I have one quick question for you. I've got less than 30 seconds. Because you've worked with members of the Israeli army, you've been part of the training program there with them, we know that there was some type of intelligence failure, that Israel was not prepared for this attack. Are you confident that they will be able to move successfully in this counteroffensive?
I am. I will say that, you know, unfortunately, organizations like Hamas are also heavily adaptive and innovative with the methods that they use to coordinate. And I think what we've seen with their attacks shows that there's a level of sophistication and planning that exceeds beyond their own capabilities. So they had external help. I think that's evident. But I am very confident that Israel will rise to the challenge. They've established their Northern Command with quite a bit of infrastructure. Their potential ground operations that they're getting ready to do in Gaza, I think, will be well suited to handle this threat.
Former Navy SEAL Cameron Hamilton, sir, thank you for your service and thank you for joining News Nation this morning.
Thank you for your time.
And still to come, of course, we're going to continue monitoring the situation from not only Israel, but around the Middle East as protests ensue. We're going to be speaking with a woman who last spoke to her mother and father on Saturday before they were taken hostage. She shares exactly what those final moments were like.
Plus, IDF reservists returning to Israel from all around the world, ready to fight Hamas. Their passion to serve and the Jewish law one airline needed permission to break in order to get them home.
Have you heard? Sling TV offers the news you love for less. Wait, you look and sound just like me. Actually, I am you. Because I'm the same news programs on Sling for less. You mean you're me, but for less money? A lot less. I'm all your favorite news programs and more on Sling, starting at just $40 a month. Everything great about me, but for less money, which makes me greater, don't you think? It's the same news for less, starting at $40 a month.
Sling. Travel, there is nothing like it. Dancing is my passion. But with my moderate to severe eczema, it hasn't always been easy. I was constantly itching, whatever I was doing. Now, I'm staying ahead of my eczema.
There's a power inside all of us to live our passion. And Dupixent works on the inside to help heal your skin from within. It helps block a key source of inflammation inside the body that can cause eczema, so adults can have long-lasting, clearer skin and fast itch relief. Serious allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor.
Healing from within is a powerful thing.
Ask your eczema specialist how Dupixent can help heal your skin from within.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission products. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our clients' best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we do better when our clients do better. At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
If your vehicle isn't under warranty, it's almost like a ticking time bomb. Sooner or later, it's going to break down, and you'll be stuck with a repair bill that could blow up your budget. Unless you have an auto protection plan from Everything Breaks. Our protection plans cover the expensive items that your auto insurance doesn't, like engine repairs, transmission, AC, computer systems, and more. Plus, our plans include 24/7 roadside assistance, free towing, free trip interruption, and free rental cars. Plans from other providers can cost between $100 to $200 per month. But with Everything Breaks, you can get the critical coverage that you need with plans starting at less than $1 a day. And if you call right now, your rates will be locked in, guaranteed. If your vehicle is out of warranty, call us now to get protected before it breaks down.
Call 1-800-374-4456, 1-800-374-4456.
The Israeli airline El Al is gearing up to fly on the Jewish Sabbath for the first time in more than 4 decades. The Sabbath is a holy day. No work is to be done, but the airline says it has received special permission from Jewish leaders to pursue flights. The airline plans to operate 4 of them, 1 from New York, 2 from Bangkok, and 1 from Madrid. Stephanie Haynes is joining us live. And Stephanie, the reason why is so that reservists can get back home and fight in this war.
Adrienne, exactly. And it cannot be understated how big of a deal this is. Like you said, the rabbis gave the airline permission to do this. It's been really tough for anyone to get back to Israel because so many airlines have been canceling their flights, including American Airlines right behind me here in Fort Worth. All flights to Israel canceled through at least December 4th. And so anyone who does want to help, especially those reservists, are jumping at the opportunity of these flights. For the first time since 1982, Israel's El Al Airlines will fly on Saturday, the Jewish Sabbath, to bring home reservists, security forces, rescue teams, and anyone who wants to help, like Kelly Oates, who have dropped everything to get back to Israel.
And what made me decide to return was really the feeling that, you know, this is our nation and this is our country, and it's so hard to not play a role in that. The feeling of duty.
More than 360,000 reservists have been called up to fight against Hamas. That's the terrorist group responsible for the carnage in Israel last weekend.
It's a different level. This time we faced brutality that we've never seen before. Brutality that we probably last saw during the Holocaust.
El Al says the flights are free for soldiers, paid for by the airline and big American financial institutions. Rabbis gave the airline special permission to fly on the holy day because the preservation of life takes precedence at this moment. And while she is grateful for the chance to be with her people, Kelly Oates knows the road ahead will be far from easy.
I would really like to show the world the true core of the IDF, which is really the Israeli Defense Forces. You know, we have been attacked, brutally attacked, and it has been a traumatic time for all of us. But something that we know how to do and we have to do is to defend ourselves.
Kelly is already back in Israel, ready to defend her country. She has both citizenship in South Africa and Israel. She's supposed to get married to a Brazilian national, but her family is supportive of her and her decision to go back and fight for Israel in this time. Nick.
Stephanie, thank you so much. Meanwhile, Secretary of State Antony Blinken reiterated Thursday the United States and Israel are working together to free everyone being held hostage by Hamas. Dr. Sharon Leifshitz is joining us now from the United Kingdom and last spoke with her parents Saturday morning before they were kidnapped in southern Israel and that border with Gaza. Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Sharon, can you take us through the events of last Saturday when you knew that your parents had been kidnapped?
It took only late in the evening did I know that they were kidnapped. In the morning, I called them and I couldn't get hold of them. And then I called my mom and my brother, and he told me that there's been a break in the border and that there's terrorists in the kibbutz and that the contact is lost with my parents. It took 7 or 8 hours for the army to arrive and a few more hours to release everyone. And later in the evening, we found out that my parents were among the 80 or so women, children, and elderly people that are missing.
I know that you know, because you've shared with our producers, that there are people, along with your parents, missing from that community. What do you know about those who were taken hostage, and do you know if children are among them?
There are many children among the missing. We are a small community, one of a group of community along that border. Our kibbutz has 400 people in total. There's dozens and dozens that are dead, horrifically killed. There's 160 survivors, and we don't have a clear view of it, but we estimate about 80 people just from our kibbutz were taken hostage.
And Dr. Leifshitz, I know that we've discussed this before with other guests, that it's an extremely tight community, that mostly everyone knows everyone. And I'm guessing that you have had an opportunity to speak to some of your elected leaders. Do you know anything about the efforts to rescue your parents or other hostages?
The effort to rescue are carried by all the families and many people around the world that are doing absolutely what they can to return these people home. It is against any Convention of Human Rights to take elderly and children as hostages. This is not part of the conflict. This is just sheer crime against humanity. These people must be returned back very quickly. They are on medication. There are children with disabilities. This is not your pawn in this game.
We heard someone from the IDF talk about how this is against the rules of war. and rules of engagement, that they have moved beyond the pale of what would be considered allowable in a conflict. Have you gotten any updates from the Israeli or UK governments that seem to assuage any of the concerns or ameliorate any of the stress that you and other community members are going through right now?
No. What I know is from the media. I know that Gaza is being bombarded. I know that many of my community are there, and we are horrified, we are petrified, we do not know how to contain this shock. We have lost so much, so many are dead, the houses are burned, so much is gone, but we are begging for the return of our people. This community is burned down. Most of them don't have a home to come back to. The means of living in that place have been altered, possibly forever. But these should be joined with their community so that together we can protect and look after each other. These are not people that should be left in some place in Gaza as a human shield.
Dr. Sharon Leifshitz, I know how stressful this has to be for you and others who have been affected. We don't take your appearance lightly. I appreciate you joining us this morning, and know that our prayers are with you and all who are standing in harm's way right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I mean, you hear the stories and you wonder what you would do. What would your life look like after you lost your loved ones? They were kidnapped from you, or you saw, even worse, them die in front of your eyes.
Talk about just the number of people in our own lives on medication. You think about the older people who just need their simple medication and can't get it.
Yeah, and to think that they're somewhere hidden, maybe in a tunnel in Gaza with no medical attention whatsoever. Coming up next, we're going to continue our breaking news coverage, Israel at war. A Democratic Congressman, John Garamendi, will join us, and the efforts to evacuate Americans as Israel prepares for a possible ground war.
I've never been healthier.
Shingles doesn't care, but Shingrix protects. Proven over 90% effective, Shingrix is a vaccine used to prevent shingles in adults 50 years and older. Shingrix does not protect everyone and is not for those with severe allergic reactions to its ingredients or to a previous dose. An increased risk of Guillain-Barré syndrome was observed after getting Shingrix. Fainting can also happen. The most common side effects are pain, redness and swelling at the injection site, muscle pain, tiredness, headache, shivering, fever, and upset stomach. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Shingrix today.
Get help reaching your goals with JP Morgan Wealth Plan, the digital money coach in the Chase mobile app. Use it to set and track your goals, big and small, and see how changes you make today could help put them within reach. From your first big move to retiring poolside and the other goals along the way, Wealth Plan can help you get there. JP Morgan Wealth Management.
My dry eyes made me a burning, stinging 5 times a day.
Makeup smearing, drops user.
I want another option. That's not another drop.
Tyrvaya. It's not another drop. It's the first and only nasal spray for dry eye. Tyrvaya treats the signs and symptoms of dry eye disease fast by helping your body produce its own real tears. Common side effects include sneezing, cough, and throat and nose irritation.
Relying only on drops? Not me. My own real tears are my relief.
Ask your eye doctor about Tyrvaya.
There's 2 things a young man want to be: cowboy or a gangster. And a gangster is out of style. I got back to my roots. We come from a long line of cowboys. My grandfather, my great-grandfather, my aunt even rode horses. When I see all of us out here on this ranch, I see how far our legacy can go.
My active psoriatic arthritis can make me feel like I'm losing my rhythm. With Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm getting into my groove. Along with significantly clearer skin, Skyrizi helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses. Skyrizi attaches to and reduces a source of excess inflammation that can lead to skin and joint symptoms. With Skyrizi, 90% clearer skin and less joint pain are possible.
Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, had a vaccine, or plan to.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Now's the time to ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
Welcome back. We continue our coverage live from Gaza and Tel Aviv. At least 27 Americans, they've been killed in Israel since Saturday's deadly terrorist assault by Hamas, with at least 14 others still missing and feared taken hostage. This is as the likelihood of a bloody war above and within the tunnels running underneath the Palestinian territory is imminent. We are joined right now by California Democratic Congressman John Garamendi. He sits on the House Armed Services Committee. Good morning to you, sir. I grew up not far from Beale Air Force Base, if that gives you some idea of where my family's from.
Well, I represented Beale for the last decade. Wonderful part of the world up there. And, a very, very important part of America's security. All of it being tested now as all this trouble in the Israel and the Middle East is ramping up.
You're absolutely correct. I know the history of that base very well, and obviously you know it intimately. You also know intimately about evacuating people from hostile territory. I know that you've been involved with this evacuation effort of families who are in Israel who want to come to America, dual citizens, trying to get away from this horrific violence. I have friends who have told me about the cost of sending over a jet to gather their family members and bring them home. How challenging is it to travel there now?
Well, it's certainly a challenge. You just did a large segment on the Israeli airlines, El Al, and they are actually flying on the Sabbath, which is most unusual, to take out and to bring in people into Israel. So the United States is also very, very much involved here. The State Department has arranged for charter flights to go into Israel and to bring out American citizens who want to leave the country and to find safe haven. All of that is underway. Some of the airlines are also flying, but it's a very, very difficult situation, and it's tragic. Americans have been killed, and certainly more than 1,000 Israelis. This war is going to be a very nasty situation. But Israel is determined to protect itself, and it has every right to do so.
Obviously, there are politics, there are optics, and then there is the discussion of religion and faith, all of which are very difficult to address in a way that can be neutral when you can't really be neutral right now. It seems as though the lines are being drawn. What would your message be to Americans in this country, particularly Jewish Americans who feel very on edge, who feel fearful, who are concerned about their own safety in places where they're seeing demonstrations and these calls for potentially Islamic jihad, even just pro-Palestinian clashes here in the streets of America, as well as around the world? What would you tell Jewish Americans of the messages now from the government?
I would suggest they go online and pull down President Biden's speech 3 days ago. He made it very, very clear in a very strong, very emotional speech that America is standing with Israel, period. We'll do whatever's necessary to help Israel protect itself and to secure its presence and its future. That's where the American government is. That's where the president is. That's where I am. I believe that's where most of Congress is. Of course, there are other views within the United States, and they have a perfect right to express those views. However, we need to really understand that since the very beginning of the state of Israel, the United States has been there. Not without controversy over the years, but we've always stood with Israel. We are now, and we should continue to do so.
One more question for you. Of course, we don't have a House Speaker on the GOP side. This has caused some chaos, some questions. But prior to this war in Israel, the two leading parties were at extreme odds. Things have changed over the past week because of the crisis of this war. What are your hopes within the Democratic Party that you all will be able to work with moderate Republicans and reach the kind of unity that we're seeing in the face of crisis now in Israel?
We have been doing that from the very beginning of this Congress. When the Republicans took control of the House of Representatives, they proved right at the outset, back with the debt cliff back in the spring, that they could not govern by themselves. And so it was the Democrats that actually came forward, put together nearly every Democrat, well, but one Democrat voted for the program that allowed us to get past the debt cliff. A handful of Republicans joined in. And then we came up with the close down of government at the end of September. Once again, it was the Democrats, united Democrats, with a handful of Republicans that passed the legislation to keep the government open until at least mid-November. And once again, we stand ready at this moment to work with the Republicans. We've reached out, I personally, and I know that our leader, Mr. Jeffries, has also reached out to the Republicans and said, let's form a unity government, just like Israel did in their moment of crisis. They formed a unity government. We need to do that here in the House of Representatives. We're prepared to do that. I know that many of us have reached out and said, come, let's work together here, just as we have with the continuing resolution that kept the government running, just as we did with the debt crisis back in the spring. It was the Democrats that actually governed, together with a handful of Republicans. We're prepared to do that today.
I want to challenge you in a kind and humble way to extend another olive branch to those who don't agree with you, who have a very different perspective than you and many members of your party, and hopes that, you know, something will change, that the volatility, the vilifying would go away, and that we really would be more united. I know that there are certain members, including my hopes, yourself, who really do want that. And there is a way, even though it's very hard.
Well, you just have on the screen right now one of the bomb throwers in the Republican caucus. Mr. Jordan, the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, has used that committee as a weapon in the presidential election and is a very, very antagonistic chairman. I serve on one of his subcommittees. I've listened to him as he's conducted his meetings in frankly, a very uncivil way. If we have civility from the chairman, from the leadership, it flows down through all the members of the House of Representatives.
Right.
On our right, we have not been engaged in the kind of vitriol and discourse that is now going on within the Republican conference.
Well, I hope that both parties, I know we're running out of time and I don't need to cut you off, but I hope that both parties would remember exactly what you're saying. No more vitriol. We're all for it. John Garamendi, Congressman, thank you so much for your time. We'll have more news. Yes, we'll have more news for All America when we return.
Upon approaching the 18th green, Issa Tanaka silently proclaimed, "My brother may think he's a better golfer, a more witty conversationalist. He may think he's superior, but he's not. Because I switched to consumer cellular for the same coverage for up to half the cost. He may have mom's dimples, but I pay less for wireless.
I'm the one who wins."
Birds, when freedom calls, we're here to answer.
Having diabetes can raise a lot of questions. Like my morning ride. Will it help lower my glucose? With the Freestyle Libre 2 system, you can know where your glucose level is and where it's headed without finger sticks. Manage your diabetes with more confidence and lower your A1C. Ask your doctor about the Freestyle Libre 2 system, now widely covered by Medicare for patients managing diabetes with insulin. Visit freestylelibre.us to learn more.
I'm not just accomplished, I'm accomplishing. So I'm doing all I can to help lower my risk of breaking a bone.
For postmenopausal women with osteoporosis at high risk for fracture, taking calcium and vitamin D may not be enough. Adding Prolia is proven to help strengthen bones and reduce spine fracture risk by 68% with one shot every 6 months. Do not take Prolia if you have low blood calcium, are pregnant, are allergic to it, or take Xgeva. Serious allergic reactions like low blood pressure, trouble breathing, throat tightness, face, lip, or tongue swelling, rash, itching, or hives have happened. Tell your doctor about dental problems, as severe jawbone problems may happen with Prolia, or about pain in your hip, groin, or thigh, as unusual thigh bone fractures have occurred. Talk to your doctor before stopping, skipping, or delaying Prolia, as spine and other fractures have occurred. Serious side effects like low blood calcium, serious infections which could need hospitalization, skin problems, and severe bone, joint, or muscle pain have occurred.
I have so much more to accomplish.
Talk to your doctor about Prolia.
If you're taking an antidepressant, but you're still masking your depression, you could be experiencing a partial response to your antidepressant.
Partial response happens when your antidepressant alone isn't enough. Let's try adding Rexulti. When added to an antidepressant, Rexulti was proven to reduce depression symptoms 62% more than the antidepressant alone. So you can build on your progress.
Rexulti can cause serious side effects. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke. Antidepressants may increase suicidal thoughts and actions and worsen depression in children and young adults. Report fever, stiff muscles, and confusion, which can be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. Increased cholesterol, weight gain, high blood sugar, low white blood cells. Unusual urges, dizziness on standing, falls, seizures, trouble swallowing, or sleepiness may occur. When depression sets you back, keep moving forward. Ask your doctor about adding Rexulti to your antidepressant.
If your vehicle isn't under warranty, it's almost like a ticking time bomb. Sooner or later, it's going to break down, and you'll be stuck with a repair bill that could blow up your budget. Unless you have an auto protection plan from Everything Breaks. Our protection plans cover the expensive items that your auto insurance doesn't, like engine repairs, transmission, AC, computer systems, and more. Plus, our plans include 24/7 roadside assistance, free towing, free trip interruption, and free rental cars. Plans from other providers can cost between $100 to $200 per month. But with Everything Breaks, you can get the critical coverage that you need with plans starting at less than $1 a day. And if you call right now, your rates will be locked in, guaranteed. If your vehicle is out of warranty, call us now to get protected before it breaks down.
Call 1-800-374-4456, 1-800-374-4456.
Welcome back to News for All America. Breaking news coverage of the war in Israel continues in just a moment.
Yeah, but first, here are some of the other headlines that we know you'll be talking about this morning around your breakfast table. Unions representing 75,000 healthcare workers now a step closer to higher wages. A tentative deal has been reached between Kaiser Permanente and those healthcare worker unions. Workers in several states striked for 3 days last week over wages and staffing shortages. Kaiser workers have asked for a 25-hourly minimum wage and yearly increases after their contract ended in 2019. And Taylor Swift returning to Arrowhead Stadium to cheer on Travis Kelce and the Chiefs during Thursday Night Football. Just 1 day after walking the red carpet at the premiere of her concert movie, Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour. While Swift and Kelce have kept the extent of their relationship quiet, the NFL admits this pop culture moment has been really good for business. By the way, the Chiefs beat the Broncos soundly. I don't know if you watched any of the game.
I did not. I was asleep.
Like it's been a long week.
But no, it's been a very long week. But it's nice to see something positive, something we can smile about. And I love how we say we don't know the extent of their relationship. Well, of course we don't. But I think they're a little bit more than just platonic friends. Yeah, still ahead on Morning in America, legendary gymnast Mary Lou Retton. She continues fighting a rare form of pneumonia. She's in the ICU. Why thousands of people are sending her money. That's next.
CUOMO, live in Israel, all this week on NewsNation.
My mental health was much better, but I struggled with uncontrollable movements called TD, tardive dyskinesia. TD can be caused by some mental health meds.
And it's unlikely to improve without treatment. I felt like my movements were in the spotlight.
#1 prescribed Ingrezza is the only TD treatment for adults that's always one pill once daily. Ingrezza 80 milligram is proven to reduce TD movements in 7 out of 10 people. People taking Ingrezza can stay on most mental health meds. Ingrezza can cause depression, suicidal thoughts, or actions in patients with Huntington's disease. Pay close attention to and call your doctor if you become depressed, have sudden changes in mood, behaviors, feelings, or have thoughts of suicide. Don't take Ingrezza if you're allergic to its ingredients. Ingrezza may cause serious side effects, including angioedema, potential heart rhythm problems, and abnormal movements. Report fevers, stiff muscles, or problems thinking, as these may be life-threatening. Sleepiness is the most common side effect.
It's nice. People focus more on me.
Ask your doctor about #1 prescribed once daily Ingrezza.
Had enough? No. Arthritis. Here. Aspirin arthritis. Huh. Full prescription strength. Reduces inflammation. Thank the gods. Don't thank them too soon.
Kick pain in the Aspirin.
This is our last chance to help save thousands
of Holocaust survivors who are suffering in the former Soviet Union today. The needs that these forgotten Jews have are something beyond anything you can imagine.
Have you eaten this morning?
I ate the carrot, so I ate half of it yesterday. And this is what she ate in 2 days, 1 carrot. Please pray for me.
The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews began this ministry to help elderly Jews living in horrible poverty around the world. We urgently need your gift of $25 now to help provide one survival food box with all of the foods they critically need for their diet for 1 month. When you call right now, your gift's impact will be doubled to help save lives.
I have a tremendous love for Israel and the Jewish people. This is why I'm partnering with the Fellowship. It gives me a way to authentically bless Jewish people in need around the world.
I believe in God, but I sometimes feel maybe He forgot me. Perhaps you could tell my story, and I would find a matching soul that would understand. I face hunger again.
Please don't delay. Call, scan, or go online now to help rush one survival food box to a Holocaust survivor. When you call right now, your gift's impact will be doubled to help save lives.
This is what God wants from us. Just feed the hungry.
If you hear God's voice, I'm asking you to act now. Do it when it's on your heart. I pray that they'll know in their final months that they're not alone.
It's important more than ever today to know what's happening in the world. I want to share that with our viewers.
Elizabeth Vargas Reports, weeknights 6/5 Central on NewsNation.
So this morning, donations continue pouring in to help one of the most decorated U.S. gymnasts in our nation's history, Mary Lou Retton. She's unable to breathe on her own, reportedly, contracting a rare form of pneumonia.
Yeah, for people like me, we've watched her for years. She doesn't have health insurance, and her children are now crowdfunding for help. Kelsey is here to tell us more about this story.
I have to say, both of you, it is remarkable the love and support that has been pouring in for Mary Lou Retton. I mean, she really is the it girl. America loves her. And 7,200 people have donated already, raising nearly $400,000 so far this morning, and they passed that original goal of $50,000 within just hours.
Fans and loved ones leaving money donations with posts that read, "You are an American hero, and hang in there, Mary Lou." One fan and furniture businessman who is known as Mattress Mac even donated a whopping $50,000. He told reporters that he and his wife were fans of Retton and watched her during her career. They are praying and hoping she recovers. Retton's daughter, McKenna Kelly, sharing the news on Tuesday that her mother is sick and their family is in need of help with her medical expenses. The Spot Fund post reading, "She is not able to breathe on her own. She's been in the ICU for over a week now. Out of respect for her and her privacy, I will not disclose all details. However, I will disclose that she is not insured." I reached out to a doctor and medical expert who says the nearly $400,000 already raised is probably not enough money to fully cover Retton's medical expenses thus far, as treatment in the ICU can be very expensive. But she also told us more about what rare pneumonia is and what it means. Take a listen.
It sounds like it's probably a bilateral pneumonia, which means a pneumonia that involves both lungs, and has progressed to the point that a significant amount of her lung tissue is involved. And so she's no longer able to oxygenate the blood properly. And when you get to that point, then you have to have assistance with breathing and oxygenating.
Friends and teammates sharing their well wishes on social media. Kathy Johnson Clark posting this picture of the two hugging at the 1984 Olympics, with a post reading in part, "Holding you tightly in my thoughts and prayers as I have many times." And 5-time gold medalist and competitor Nadia Comaneci expressing sympathy on X, reading, "Please get better, my very dear friend."
For those that are not able to donate money, Retton's children, her 4 daughters, are asking for prayers for their mother in hopes that she will make it through this battle.
Yeah. Again, calling attention to the fact that just because somebody is extremely successful in the first half of their life,
may not make the right decisions in the second half. I mean, God, why doesn't she have health insurance? You just
that's
wonder.
Definitely a question.
But certainly amazing, the power of community, people coming together to pay for those
I think
bills.
so many people my age and maybe a little bit older remember her on the Wheaties box and the moment that she won and what it meant for America and the country. So,
and these posts, when you read them as they're donating money, I mean, I love you. I've spent my entire younger years watching you as a child. People love her.
Yeah, absolutely. We all love her, and we're all hoping that she makes a full recovery and that every dollar helps. Marni Hughes is here to continue our coverage on NewsNation Live. And Marni, I know you've got a stacked show, of course, covering the war between Israel and Hamas.
Yes, thank you to each of you, and our best to Mary Lou and her continued health. It is Friday, October 13th. We are expecting that major ground offensive from Israeli